Joe Rogan is a guy on the internet. This is something I have been thinking about for days and it's been driving me crazy. I think I was going to cover this last week. I don't even care to see the Pod Save America episode. I don't give a fuck. There is this ongoing conversation with like lefties and Dems and shit about how can we have a left Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan of the left, or the Joe Rogan of democratic politics, ignoring the obvious truth that there was one and our biggest voices did everything that they could to alienate and diminish him, and then he decided that he didn't like any of y'all. We had a Joe Rogan. But what the Joe Rogan of the left, okay? And then people are putting Hasan up there as this. I need to explain. This is a primer for lefties and internet babies to understand who Joe Rogan is, because I think people really underestimate him because you think he's like old Ben Shapiro or something, but you like okay, let me break this down for you. He's pushing 60, I think, right? Joe Rogan has been an American household name for average day-to-day schlubs for the better part of 3 decades, literally almost my entire life. When I was a kid in the 90s, there was a show called Talk Radio that was one of the biggest fucking sitcoms on American television. Joe Rogan was the funny guy. The like, hey, this is actually like a funny, goofy dude. In a cast of murderers, Joe Rogan was one of the most notoriously funny and like down-to-earth guys. He was the mechanic at a radio station, basically. Like he did all the tech stuff there. This is a show that had Andy Dick on it. And what's his name? The voice of Troy McClure before he got shot to death by his wife. That guy was on there. I think the dude from Kids in the Hall, right? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. The fucking entire cast of that was monstrous. And that is what we call a syndicated television show. Okay, it hit 100 plus episodes, I'm pretty sure. And it reran. It did reruns, which is crazy. I know you like people like, I hate reruns. Reruns are always on TV. Yeah, but did you notice that the reruns are things that you recognize? Having a show that has reruns is like a big deal. And if you were on basic TV, it's not even a cable show. He was on, I think that was on fucking what? NBC or something? NBC, ABC, CBS, one of the big 3 networks. He had tens of millions of people watching him every night. Every night. That was just in the 90s, and this is after a successful stand-up career-ish, building up to the sitcom thing, which is a whole deal in the early 90s. After he became... You can retire off that. If you are in a syndicated television show as fucking main cast, speaking every fucking episode, you can retire. That's it. You did it. You achieved the height of what most people accomplish in television, especially in the fucking 90s, because you get, every time the show reruns on syndication, you get money from it. You know what I mean? So like you can live off of that. It's a lot. if it's a syndicated show, it's a lot. And you made millions of dollars while you were doing it, more than likely. After that, in the 2000s, he was on another syndicated show that was one of the largest shows on fucking cable television. Fear Factor, which everyone knew about. And it gave him connection to an entire different generation of people. My dad's generation watched talk radio. I hope I'm saying that right. It's talk radio, not news radio. But then he did Fear Factor and engaged in another that high-level memes. Chappelle's Show, one of the fucking funniest shows of all time. You might remember Chappelle, Dave Chappelle, from your favorite fucking clueless lefty streamer being like, he's never been funny. Know your place in the conversation. Understand that. One of the funniest fucking segments on that show ever, period ever, is fucking Tyrone Baker. I don't know if you know this about me, Joe Rogan. I smoke crack. It's a Fear Factor episode with a crackhead because a crackhead can't be phased. You want me to eat dick and balls? Okay, that's fine. I guess it's past 6. I'm a little famished. The fuck? His nasty toenail catches fire and he smokes a cigarette off of it. That was a high level of notoriety. That's 2 syndicated shows, one on the big 3 networks, one on cable. And I will tell you right now, they might still be running fucking Fear Factor as far as I know. I don't have cable anymore, but they ran that shit back to back to back to back to back in marathons on whatever it was, FX or some shit when I was in high school. Everybody knew who fucking the host of Fear Factor. Oh, that guy, the host of Fear Factor, that's retire again. And a lot of connection to people. From there, he became the fucking voice of the UFC. He became the fucking color announcer for one of the biggest fighting organizations that's ever existed, the UFC. He's the guy. He's the dude. Those you can retire. He's an announcer at a fucking pay-per-view sporting event at the top bills. He has talked while fucking Masvidal has fought, while Khabib has fought, while fucking Chuck Liddell has fought. He has announced the biggest fights that ever fucking happened in the UFC. That is a third level of profile most people can't get in a lifetime. In a fucking lifetime. On top of that, in his free time, he started the podcast everyone fucking hates, the Joe Rogan Experience, which has been going on now since like 2007 or 8 or so. I can't even remember. It goes back to when podcasts were a specific thing you could make using an iPod and a MacBook because it was an iPod cast. Like literally it was a part of the fucking hardware or the in-made software features on that device. He did that and was one of the first people to ever get big in that. He has multiple arcs. He's been basically doing that he did it for longer than Bleach was on TV for anime people and got huge. Huge. He's bigger than anybody. He was one of the first people. He's been around so long. Most of you guys probably don't even remember when he was advertising pocket pussies. Literally, the Fleshlight was an old advertisement he used to have when he still did baked in advertisements. Okay? While on that show, he has talked to some of the most important, influential, and interesting people ever for over a decade and a half. A decade and a half, at least, if not a little bit longer. He's talked to comedians. He's talked to politicians, of course, but he's talked to fucking science guys, and he's talked to a bunch of fighters and fucking, creatives, and this guy and that guy, his famous fucking friends that he met over a 20-year, at that time, career in entertainment, now going on 30. And so he got to talk to the fucking former president of the United States of America. Okay? In a not like when fucking Barack Obama was going on Mark Maron, I want everybody to sign up for the Affordable Care Act. It's a very good show. It's a very good deal for America. He had a conversation with a guy that was trying to get elected and then talk to him. There is no finding a new Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan built Joe Rogan for 30 fucking plus years. 3 decades plus of work is what Joe Rogan is. And let me tell you about what that impression is on people. He is not a guy that connects to people because he works out and he announces at some fight competition. Joe Rogan is a guy that sounds like normal people, which almost nobody on the left does. Sorry. He's edgy here and there, but literally the guy's from a working class neighborhood and outside of Boston. I think he's from Revere, if I remember the lore correctly. And he fucking worked in a little warehouse or whatever, and then he was on TV forever. He likes dude shit. He has normal inclinations. He's a curious guy. He's a straightforward individual. You can interpret that however you want if you want to add lefty sauce to it and just not understand what I'm trying to fucking explain to you. But he's a guy that talks like regular guys do about shit regular guys are interested in. Their concerns, their issues of the day. He could not work out and he could still be Joe Rogan, right? He had Tim Dillon. People listen to Tim Dillon for very similar reasons, right? You might not like him, but it's just the case. And he has a bunch of orbiters and stuff, a bigger fucking profile than anyone. There is no left Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is a human being that built a little media empire by being a goofy fuck and having a lot of passion for the random things that he was interested in. And then that got turned into him talking about what everybody's talking about at the time, the fucking presidential election and, you know, whatever the hell, all these politics stuff. The fact that there's people that can't communicate with him on our side is the bigger issue than trying to find a replacement for him. There is no replacement for Joe Rogan. He's the one guy. That's him. Right? It's like trying to find like a new Bill Maher. That's whatever that is. You know what I'm saying? The lack of understanding of these fundamental facts is the darkest shit that people have been talking about since any of this came out, right? But like Joe Rogan is a guy that cares. He loves America. He really does. There's a lot of issues with it, and he has his little conspiracy theories, and he doesn't like these organizations and stuff, but he lives here. He's from this country. He talks about it. He travels all around it. He's hung out with fucking the kind of dildos that go on reality TV shows. He's one of the most median type Americans that exist. He could hang out with my dad and shoot the shit and not be a weirdo fucking celebrity, right? Like if Joe Rogan goes out to a fucking Home Depot for some fucking reason or whatever, and I'm pretty sure he probably talks to people like normal as fuck. I've seen him having conversations with folks after MMA fights. He's just like, yeah, man, blah, 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 blah. Obviously he's fucking like super rich and fucking notorious now, but like that's the fucking buildup that makes him who he is. That's why people listen to him. That's why people care what the fuck he has to say. I don't listen to his shit anymore because the fucking guests were bad. But unironically, if Joe Rogan's fucking guests stop sucking, literally just never bring on fucking Brendan Schaub. No more Brendan Schaub. No more Ari Shaffir. No more Tony Hinchcliffe. For the love of fuck, they're just exhausting. And no more fucking Bert Kreischer. And then I'll fucking start listening, especially in coupled up episode. Jesus fucking Christ. But those are his friends, so that'll never happen. It is what it is. I'll listen to fucking Joe Rogan talk to Tim Dillon. I don't give a fuck. I might not agree with anything that they say. I'll listen to that one. Even Tom Segura, who I don't like that much, I'll listen to that one. You know what I mean? Bill Burr on there, I'll fucking make an exception and just go listen to that shit. All right. Joe Rogan experience. You know? But like that's the thing. I can't dislike Joe Rogan. I'm not gonna fucking do this thing where I pretend like he's a cultural force for evil. I don't like the platforming idea where it's like, oh, this guy with a bunch of listeners has let somebody on there and talk. And so no one would have ever found out if he hadn't put that person on there. I think he takes the opposite tack, which is try to go fucking talk to this asshole. Be interesting. Be fucking someone he wants to have a conversation with or frame conversations like that. The issue isn't really we need a leftist Joe Rogan. The issue is why doesn't he want to talk to anyone on this side of the aisle? And those answers are so fucking obvious and no one wants to get after it. A lot of lefties are fucking cringe as shit. They're not like, especially like the ones that we fucking lift up for some reason to speak on behalf of the issues we like. A lot of them are like, yeah, fucking, man. You know, Destiny, Vaj, Hasan. What the fuck why the fuck would Joe Rogan have those guys on? Maybe Sam Cedar. Sam's a little fucking cringe here or there if you get into that kind of stuff. Sam Cedar is a substitute teacher you like. Joe Rogan's the gym teacher you love. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the vibe. But there's so many people that are on the left and you're just cringe. Cringe as fuck. Democrats especially, like fucking establishment Dems, profoundly cringe, insanely, psychotically up their own ass. Cringe is what it is. It's cringe. And that's the question you got to fucking ask. Because if Joe Rogan's like, there's not a fucking segment. There's not a segment in me talking to you. It's because you don't have anything fucking interesting to say. He'll talk to Bernie. Bernie's not cringe. Bernie's adorable. Well, Joe, I just want to tell you that there's right now in America, 1% of all Americans hold over 50% of the wealth, and that number is getting higher, Joe. And I know you're one of those. Some people say that I'm part of that 1% too. And just giving it away isn't going to help. I've always thought, people just wanted to redistribute. Well, that's what some people say. We do this. But I live where in the America you live in, Joe. And I know that it's not possible to do all of these big, dreamy things. You're like, that's what they fucking sound like. Compare that to the kind of people that are in our comment sections that are like fucking, oh, you're a fascist, this is that. No one wants to fucking talk to you guys because you're miserable. You're fucking awful to talk to hear talk. You're misery merchants. You're doomers. You're gross. Sometimes you just have so much fucking baggage, people don't want to be seen in the same room as you. And here's the thing, is that lefties have been so preoccupied with this idea. And I mean, by lefties in this case, I mean everybody from fucking a slightly center-right fucking libertarian over this way have been hyper-focused on this academic, holier-than-thou, I am the cerebral fucking politics understander thing. People can fucking hate Bill Maher as much as they want on our side of the aisle. Understand that you might not think you sound like him to average people, and you fucking do. That, okay. That is irritating. It's not, oh, are you triggered? You triggered? No, it's irritating, man. You guys are fucking irritating. You're so awful to fucking listen to. Why would he have you on? You know what I mean? Smarmy, self-righteous, always with the endless sarcastic comments that are they don't crack. You know what I mean? With the fucking, I guess you don't care. This you, sweaty. All those, if you're that kind of person, stop. If you support those kind of people, just don't do it anymore. That's the thing. The question is, we're never going to replace Joe Rogan. There is no we need to bring progressives in, and then, okay, all of a sudden the progressive politics are going to make the fucking Democratic Party explode. No, man, there's Americans. Americans are out there on the other side of the windows behind me, outside of the walls of your house. If you are out there and you're an American, you're an American. We need to appeal to Americans with our ideas so that they care enough about them to vote for them. If you don't understand that I'm doing this for you mentality, people hate it. They fucking hate you when you talk like that. If you go and speak with fucking anyone in this country and you're like, they're not voting for their best interests, how the fuck do you know? What the fuck do you think you know about people? Who the fuck do you think you are? Do you understand how condescending and solipsistic and self-absorbed you guys sound so often? The people I've had the biggest conflicts with in this space are so far up their own fucking assholes, so deep in their fucking asses that they will fucking do this forever and never win and never convince anybody, and then just, I don't know, I feel good about myself. That's what matters. Dude, this is the fucking problem. And it's fucking Democratic establishment, and it's lefties, and it's fucking muckety-muck creators online. You gotta move away from it. You gotta stop supporting these people. You can't. The idea that Hasan Piker is going to become a Joe Rogan type figure is insane. It's an idea that was dreamed up by a moron. Hasan is anti-American. He's an un-American person in a very deep way. If you want to read into that, go for it. Go as deep as you want. I don't give a shit, because honestly, someone's going to arrive at the most racist and ignorant fucking interpretation of it internally on their own right. He's a guy that celebrates terrorists in foreign nations doing little marches on the United States flag. You understand that? He's a guy that works out, but he's afraid to fight. He didn't fight Sam Hyde. His media career is him working for his uncle and then being on Twitch, which is big for him, way bigger than me. Nothing. It's nothing compared to Joe Rogan, because there's not much about Hasan Piker that the average American can achieve. Like, what did you do to get here? Well, I was born here, and then I was raised in Turkey by wealthy people, and then I decided to come back because I thought the culture was cute, and I went to Rutgers, and I worked for my uncle, and then I became a multimillionaire by being astroturfed on Twitch. Who do you think resonates with that? What? Because he's hot. He works out some. He doesn't got that much time left. I hate to break it to you, but I work out and I'm a hot guy. Okay, maybe because of our fucking misogynistic ass culture. Sure. Yeah. That women get into that a little, like, women fall out of that a little fucking sooner or whatever the fuck. Guys do too. 35 to 40 is when it starts to get you. Okay. And then the I'm a hot guy starts sounding fucking a little weird when it's the only draw that you have. And then you're also just still supporting terrorists. Do you understand what I mean? No one that is my age, especially, none of the guys that I was in the military with, people that I've worked with, are going to like gravitate to him the same way that you would a Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan is from here. He's American as apple pie. If you hate that, then hate it. But he really just is. He's a self-made guy from Boston. Like that's like the people make movies about that fucking stupid ass shit. More than likely, there's gonna be a Joe Rogan biopic, in 10 or 15 years or something, because people are gonna want to see some asshole that's 20 years old playing fucking Andy Dick in fucking 2035 or 45 or whatever. He's from here though. He's talked to people in the military. He has Navy SEALs on. You know what I mean? Some of whom I really don't like. I don't like fucking, not Gogan's fucking butthole mouth, whatever his name is. But like, he has those people on. He talks to Americans about America, which is the place you're trying to win the election. Hasan talks to people on Twitch about how dog shit America is. And if he's building a coalition, that's cool. But what are they going to do? What are they going to accomplish? What is the ultimate message that you're going to build and bring out to the world? A spoiled guy from another country who was raised on a foreign shore hates America, and you're into that, and you want me to vote for your why? What? Why would I fucking listen to you? Okay, sure, you're on the internet and okay, cool. Like, yeah, you really like him. You throw him donos, but like, he's an entertainer, and that's it. Hasan's message doesn't resonate outside of his community. It really fucking doesn't. He's big, right? Joe Rogan is infinitely larger, and infinitely more in tune with Americans. Like, the question isn't replacing him. You can't, because he's a one of a kind. He's the genuine article. I hate to break it to you, but like, he deserves all of the credit, and that sucks. And if you hate it, go for it. But he earned all of it. All of it he earned. He could have stopped at any point. He could have quit. He could have not done shit. He could have not done shitty fucking drive around in the middle of the night gigs to fucking Cicero or wherever the fuck, in Revere, in Boston, in New York City. He could have not done that. He could have worked at a warehouse. He could have fucking done a major syndicated television show and retired and done something else. He could have done Fear Factor and done something else. He could have done MMA and then stopped there. He could have done but he did all of these things, which you can't take away from him, and earned an audience that is fucking massive. You really don't understand shit if you just watch like Twitch streaming and YouTube. He's in the podcast game. He has no masters. There's no God. Podcasts is the fucking final frontier. All of the money you keep. The audience is your audience. He's at the top of that, and you can't do shit about it. Hasan could never. He can't. Like, maybe he could build his profile and stuff, but like, where's he going to go with it? Who's he going to convince? You know what I mean? And then if you go to the other ones, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, Destiny is, very similar in construction to Joe Rogan, other than the massive successful entertainment career that preceded being on the internet all the goddamn time. But, he's a little bit repugnant. He's way too goonery. He could be at best, Destiny at his biggest could be a fucking Joe Rogan orbiter. I'm not even kidding. What was his contract for fucking Spotify? 120 million or something. You know what I mean? That's so much fucking money. What, like, just pocketed it. And then he does advertisements, Traeger grills, Black Rifle coffee on top of that. He makes careers for people that are not funny, that are massive. Like, I know about Brendan Schaub was like a decent fighter in the MMA. I think he won like one championship, and he got a fucking Netflix special. That is Joe Rogan's Frogan. And that's how high that AstroTurf got with minimal fucking effort. A full paid special on Netflix. There is no replacing it. There's no, you can't even make it happen if you try to build in that direction, because that's not how it's done. You know what I mean? It can't be artificial. If Joe Rogan put together the Joe Rogan experience for 20 years as like, oh yeah, this is actually just like, I really want to spread fucking, I want to do agitprop and spread right-wing propaganda, or really for him, excessive libertarian propaganda. It wouldn't have caught on. It's so different than I think what people understand. Do you have to like him? Fuck no. Do you have to respect him even outside of how, like, as a person that's in this space that's massively powerful? Yeah, you should, but you don't have to like his ideas. But he's bigger than Johnny Carson. Like, if you guys don't know about like the old Tonight Show, he's bigger than Johnny Carson, is a crazy thing to say. Hasan slaps himself on the back for being bigger than cable news, but only the smaller ones, CNN and MSNBC, that have a fraction of the viewership of the one that matters, Fox News. Joe Rogan competes with and beats basic TV. Joe Rogan is bigger when he's online than fucking broadcast, raw off the antenna fucking television. He's bigger than Johnny Carson. That is fucking psychotic. That is the ultimate dream of most comics. Steve Colbert worked his ass off for it. Conan O'Brien literally played the game as best he could to get a Tonight Show. Joe Rogan built a bigger Tonight Show on the internet and reaped all the rewards for it. That is what that is. There is no replacing that. It's a once in a fucking lifetime, sometimes once in a civilization, once in an industry level accomplishment. It really, you can hate him. As a matter of fact, I welcome it. But you gotta understand that there is no replacing that in a short span of time. There just isn't. He's that fucking guy. He did that. You have to beat Joe Rogan, which takes a Joe Rogan probably to do. If you're not like 18 right now trying to work your way up to something, you're never going to get there, because you have to get so lucky and you have to be built right to get there. 2 major syndicated television shows that I can think of, and then a major full-time announcer on the biggest, basically the biggest pay-per-view sports event that happens routinely in America. And then also the largest entertainment platform in basically in the Anglosphere, as far as I know. It's fucking crazy, man. It's fucking crazy. And to compare that with anything that we do in streaming is just like, you don't get it. And the conversation should not be replacing it. The conversation should be, how the fuck do we get on that? How do we cross that bridge again? Because he's talking to the people, the kind of people that agree with us. He really is. You can reach Joe Rogan. You can. He voted for Donald Trump. Yeah, for specific reasons that he has. Did you listen to them? Did you hear it out, what he said? Joe Rogan likes Donald Trump because of a Dave Chappelle skit, basically, where Donald Trump was up talking to Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton said, Donald Trump doesn't pay his taxes. He cheats, blah, blah, blah. And then Donald Trump said, I do cheat, but you cheat too. We both use the same accountant. He did that kind of shit. And he approached people. And that's it. He was the guy that opened the lid. That's what Joe Rogan wanted. He wanted no more fake nicety, no more falsity. Pop open the lid and let me see a little bit deeper into this fucking hole. He wants to see fucking aliens. It's not like hyper complicated. Joe Rogan isn't like a pro-fascist fucking like Anglosphere white supremacist. I just can't. I've never heard a good fucking argument for it. It's all, hearsay and intentional bad faith interpretation of his bullshit. The guy's a fucking old school libertarian. People have talked about like, oh yeah, he came out and supported Bernie Sanders. Do you know who he supported before Bernie Sanders? Gary Johnson's dumbass. The fucking libertarian candidate for president that routinely gets 1% of the vote. Fuck Gary Johnson again and again and again. I didn't know who Gary Johnson was until Joe Rogan talked about him. That's who he supported. Libertarian. The dude's about personal freedom and personal responsibility and that sort of shit. Okay. And like, people are just not making arguments that he's interested in. They're not doing stuff that he's interested in. He wants to see people that shake shit up. He wants to see people that break the fucking mold. That's that interesting people. Personable people, entertaining people. He has lefties on. Really far left people. He has them on. And then people are like, well, they're not challenging him. Like, that's not the fucking point. Going on in Joe Rogan podcast and trying to debate bro Joe Rogan about his misdeeds is not what the fuck you do on that program. If you're trying to do that, they're probably going to catch on to it and not even let you on in the first place. You're there to go talk to the guy. It's a fucking talk show. It's not a debate. It's not blood sports. It's a fucking talk show. He doesn't press back against his fucking people. That's not what the point is. Johnny Carson didn't bring people on and be like, all right now, so 5 years ago you said this, but 6 years ago, you said that, and try to fucking like worm into people's heads and fucking like destiny them. He talks to people. He platforms their ideas for the actual literal marketplace of ideas, which is still real. Okay. And our side is falling in the stock market. It is plummeting because we don't have people that are plugging it well. That's the fucking lesson to learn here, ultimately. And it's driving me fucking nuts. This isn't like I fucking hate Hasan. He can't be the new Joe Rogan. It's just that conversation even being brought up that way is so fucking brainless. And it's so fucking off center. Like I just can't take it seriously. I had to get off my chest.